Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out the most unfortunate injury of all time.
This is Rick Allen, the drummer from Def Leppard, and contrary to what you might think, losing an arm has in some ways changed his career for the better. You might be thinking, how is this even possible? Surely he can't play anything quickly. He must need a specially designed kit. And what can he do with just his right arm? It's one of the most inspiring stories of seeing opportunity in the face of disaster. But first of all, what even happened during his accident?
Yo, a one-armed drummer. You could be a one-armed singer. Is there a one-armed guitar player? I don't know, that'd be tough too. One-armed bass player, that'd be tough. But a one-armed drummer, that's a huge limitation, right? Maybe not. He's got extra pedals, y'all. Y'all be sure to go to David Hartley and like and subscribe.
On New Year's Eve 1984, Rick was driving home in the north of England when he lost control of his car. The car hit a wall and Rick was flung out of the car, but unfortunately his arm got tangled in the seatbelt during the accident.
I think what happened, because of the speed I was going around the left-hand corner, I ended up rolling the car and I destroyed somebody's very nice stone wall. Sorry about that.
He was just 21 years old and Def Leppard were already one of...
This guy lost his arm and he's worried about somebody's wall.
Oh, sorry about that.
He was just 21 years old and Def Leppard were already one of the biggest bands in the world. But in just one brief instant, Rick's life went from ongoing global success into an almost impossible physical and emotional recovery.
You know, we were more interested in just how the guy was, and just really happy that the guy was at least alive.
Yeah. The immediate signs weren't good. The accident also badly broke his other arm, but remarkably, it didn't take long for Rick to rediscover his love of music and to find the inspiration to keep drumming.
After listening to music for a few days, I realized that I could still play quite a lot of the parts from, you know, some of my favorite songs, just using my feet.
And we walked in and he went, "Oi," as though nothing had happened. He'd been practicing on the edge of the bed with a pillow. He said, "Well, I've lost my left arm, so I'm going to use my left foot."
He was supposed to be in the hospital for 6 months.
Yo, this is there's a British stereotype, and I think it's true, that they understate things in a way that's very British. And this is, he's doing that here. Well, I lost my left arm, I'll use my left foot. It's very British understatement, you know? And he could be wallowing in depression. I feel like that's what most of us would do. It would take a long time to get over losing a limb, and especially if we were a professional drummer. We're on top of the world. This famous rock star makes millions of dollars using his arms. And he loses one. But he comes back. He's like, I'll use my left foot. Let's go.
I've lost my left arm, so I'm going to use my left foot.
He was supposed to be in the hospital for 6 months, but he was so determined to get back drumming again that he left after just 6 weeks. Firstly, credit to the rest of Def Leppard, who made it clear that as long as Rick wanted to keep drumming, he'd still be welcome to stay with them.
Right on.
But secondly, and most importantly, Rick's unbelievable willingness to come back and overcome such a traumatic event is a great example of the human spirit and the belief that things can get better. But of course, rejoining one of the biggest bands in the world after losing an arm isn't as simple as that. So how did he make it work?
Yeah.
It's not unheard of for musicians to overcome serious injuries, making it difficult to play their instrument.
Right?
Django Reinhardt played with just 2 fingers after his hand was badly damaged during a fire. Despite some of the fingers being paralyzed after burning his hand in the fire, he was able to use this limitation to develop new chord voicings and a unique way of playing scale.
Yeah. And Tony Iommi too, right? Black Sabbath.
Chet Baker also spent 3 years relearning to play the trumpet after badly damaging and losing his teeth. But for Rick, how could he possibly play the songs Def Leppard were already known for? The answer was to build a custom drum kit specifically suited to his injury. Rick worked with British electronic drum kit maker Simmons to design a hybrid kit, combining both the acoustic drums and cymbals of a normal kit with electronic drum pads to trigger samples. Electronic drums were of course very common in the 80s. Simmons kits in particular had already been used by Prince, Duran Duran, Phil Collins and so many artists. But Rick wanted something a bit different. Instead of a fully electric sound, he wanted to be able to replicate how he could play with 2 arms using just 1 arm. To get round this, they developed a kit in which each sound could be placed in 2 different places, either using his feet or using his right arm. The result was that he could often play quicker and more elaborative drum patterns because the sound existed in 2 different places.
Hey, that's already more than you need, right? You just need a backbeat and a downbeat.
Isn't that just amazing? And
yeah.
Because it's sampled on his own drums, it sounds just as good, if not maybe even better than what he could do with a normal kit before.
Oh yeah, y'all. They were produced by Mutt Lange, who's one of the greatest producers ever. I think he produced Back in Black, which sounds amazing, as you probably know, if you're watching this channel. So they had those sounds from the record, and he probably just put them in there, right? Amazing.
Just as good, if not maybe even better than what he could do with a normal kit before. There are a few other small details that make Rick's kits unique. Most drum pedals have springs underneath to snap the pedal back after you release your foot, but Rick is not only moving his feet so quickly, but absolutely stomping on these pedals that there's a possibility for the spring to spring back the other way. This might be fine for a normal drum, you get this natural softer second hit, but Rick's pedals are electric and often triggering loops and other sounds. So to stop that happening, Rick has these wedges underneath. Rick also plays mostly barefoot, so he's installed foam insoles to make it more comfortable. 65 Drums has a great video if you want to learn more about the technical design of Rick's kit. Well, this is all very well in theory.
So he puts foam on the pedal so he can play barefoot. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? You don't need a left arm if you got a brain. That's what I'm learning, y'all.
That he could actually, make the sound.
I'm still thankful for my left arm. I don't want to lose it. Thank you so much for my left arm and letting me keep it, and all my limbs and appendages. Thank you. You gotta let them know, right?
But what about actually coming back and playing music with the band? Rick returned to the stage less than 2 years after his accident. They did a brief warm-up tour in Ireland, during which they also used a second drummer, Jeff Rich, to play at the same time as Rick, which worked out fine until Jeff turned up late to a gig, missed it, and they realised that Rick could actually just do everything himself. Rick's first major show after the accident was at the Monsters of Rock festival in 1986, less than 2 years after losing his arm in the accident. I can't find any videos of this performance, but there is an audio available, and his drumming sounds great. You'd honestly have no idea of everything he'd gone through in less than 2 years.
That was the most incredible experience, playing that show. Just every single person that was watching was applauding or cheering or doing whatever, and it was all for me. So it was really powerful.
This is already incredible.
He seems like a lovely guy, y'all. I'm so happy for him.
me. So it was really powerful.
This is already incredible that he had the perseverance and drive to come back and not to give up. But what about going forward? What about new music, new ideas, and new possibilities? Their next album to be released actually began production before Rick's accident in 1984. From the very beginning, they'd planned to record the drums last, a completely unorthodox way of recording. Usually if you're going to record anything first, it's the drums.
Yeah.
But it worked out for their previous album, so they decided to do the same thing again with this next album. The reason was that they found that once the drums had been recorded, it set in stone too much the feel of a song and made it difficult to change any ideas later on. So why not just record to a click track and then record the drums later on? In fact, there's something else that's also good about this method, in which if you want to program the drums, you can do that later to be exactly as you like, often in a way that isn't best suited to a normal acoustic drum kit. Well, it just so happened that because of Rick's accident, he was now using this custom designed kit that was a hybrid of both electronic and acoustic drums, which could be programmed with different sounds.
Instead of this being a snare drum, it would be, say, tom 1. Just so, let's see, I'm playing, so I can actually go here instead of having to reach all the way over here.
It was this incredible moment where, despite the obviously tragic nature of the accident, the limitation and this challenge Rick now faced was also an opportunity to find new creative ideas. This new album, Hysteria, would be by far the band's most successful album, both commercially with a run of hit singles, but it meant something else.
Hang on, y'all. That's a legendary album. Let's just look at the track listing, knowing that it's a one-arm drummer. Hysteria. Woman. Oh, actually don't know that song, but... Oh, yeah! Well, it sounds amazing. And the drums... I mean, he did it. He did it. Pour Some Sugar on Me. Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, Armageddon It, Gods of War, Don't You Chuck and Run Right, Hysteria, Hysteria. Wow. Way to go, Rick. Way to go, Def Leppard.
It was a creative success.
Yes.
Validation for their process of working through Rick's accident. Firstly, credit to Def Leppard for sticking by Rick and seeing the possibility in what he could do, but also Rick for the joy and optimism he has for music and providing us with such an inspiring story. Something he's tried to share even further with his Raven Drum Foundation, to use music to help others in need.
I stopped comparing myself to how I used to play, and I stopped comparing myself to others, and I went, what I do is really unique.
I think it's very common for all of us to make excuses, and of course I am definitely no different. But these excuses don't always need to be a reason why we can't do something. I'm sure a lot of you watching are musicians, and very often, especially with creativity, limitations are an opportunity to do something even greater.
Yes, they are. That's so amazing. Yeah, now when you think about Def Leppard, you don't even... The fact that the drummer has one arm, it's like, so what? But back then, it must have seemed like such a big deal. In hindsight, they're like, yeah, but like, he got around it. No big deal, right? That is inspiring.
And we all have these challenges and limitations. Rick's story is such a great example of that, where if you really want to achieve something and overcome a setback, you absolutely can. You just need to find the right way.
Easier said than done, huh? I mean, first just to be able to get over losing a limb. That goes way deeper than music or even a career, like work. It's your body, you know? Changes your life forever. And then to have to, you know, your work depends on having this limb. That's another level of pressure. You're on the top of a mountain. Gosh. And he did it. He did it. He freaking did it. Amazing. Let's just look at Rick's Wikipedia. Rick Allen. Y'all be sure to go to David Hartley and like and subscribe. There he is. There's the lad. He's 61. Known as the Thunder God by fans. His drums do sound like Thunder of the Gods. He's from Derbyshire. Derbyshire, I believe is how it's pronounced. Is that right? I just heard it on a Be Here Now video. He pronounced it Derbyshire. Wow, he joined Def Leppard when he was 14 years old. They opened for AC/DC. Oh, he had struggles with alcohol and domestic abuse, y'all. Let's forgive him. He's a vegan. When he was in Fort Lauderdale, he was in the parking lot and someone attacked him. A spring breaker intentionally ran towards him and collided with him, knocking him to the ground. He sustained a head injury. The attacker was apprehended and charged with several crimes. Man, y'all, this guy's living a life. I know he's had some struggles with alcohol and domestic violence. Let's hope he's doing all right. Hope you're doing all right, Rick. Hope things are better. Sorry to read that in his Wikipedia. Well, y'all, thanks for watching this with me. I'd like to say thanks to my patrons. Thanks to my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.